A-D-N.
It's HeadphonesNeil!
What's up, guys, and welcome back to HeadphonesNeil Reviews. I'm your host, as always, HeadphonesNeil, back with my usual new set of reviews and updates and all that good stuff. So, hoping to get that this episode is now actually back on schedule versus the past couple of weeks. So, with that being said, I'm going to have a couple of the usual reviews, the completion of one gameplay, the update for a new gameplay, an additional review, and then a side bit of update in case anyone wants an extra place to get stuff that I post. So with that being said, as far as the ongoing stuff I'm watching, I did have a chance to watch The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2 Episode 5, The Bird Always Knows. So we have the ongoing conflict and tension between the Croat, Negan, Dama, and all the various other people. And we now do see a little bit more that Negan is trying to play the Croat against the Dama to either have them take themselves out or consolidate power for himself or escape or whatever. But I thought that was all very well done. We see Negan continuing to use his powers of persuasion. They're trusting him. He knows that they don't trust him fully, but in any case, it's continuing to be a very interesting season of the show, so don't have too much to say otherwise until we have the finale for the season, just to see how it all plays out and what happens at the end. But I do recommend watching it. It does go back to some of the original core of what made The Walking Dead good, as far as attention and conflict and all of that stuff. As far as the Big Bang Theory goes, I did have a chance to make a lot of progress on it. I got in a couple of extra seasons, so now I'm into season 10. Overall, we're into Leonard and Penny having gotten married. More of the conflict between Sheldon's mom and Leonard's mom, which is always good. The continuing dynamic between Sheldon and Leonard's mom is always fun, and then the conflict with Sheldon and Amy, that she does want to take stuff forward. Sheldon still has trouble with that, and all of that. So I thought that was good stuff. And then keeping with the basics of the show of everyone's core character. So all good stuff. I mean, ultimately, I do know that Sheldon and Amy get together. So I forget where that. When that actually happens, but it does look like we're going in that direction. So overall, just good show, easy to get through, super easy and straightforward, and fun, easy to watch. So for me, and it goes back to, I don't remember why I never finished it, but I'm glad that I'm getting caught up on it now. So with that being said, the extra review that I have for this week is I had a chance to go to Universal Studios for the first time in 20 years. It's something that my work does, so didn't want to pass up that opportunity. Have a chance to check out some of the new rides and areas and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna start with the Super Nintendo World area. I did like the area's theming overall. They did a very good job of having, all the decorations, the spinning coins, the little mushroom guys that you stomp on walking back and forth, the turtles, the music, the castles. It's very much themed around Super Mario World, but you feel like you're very much immersed in it. They did a good job of having the tunnel to walk through when you're entering the area, which was good theming and good attention to detail on their part. So when you do that, that's one of those first things that you notice. If you get the band and you do some of the stuff with the power-ups and hitting the blocks and things like that, you can go into certain areas for additional content, which I didn't have a chance to do that, but I did have a chance to go on the Super Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which is a continuation of the outside theming, but inside another building, which is themed very much around Bowser's Castle. I thought it was if you thought the outside was well done, the inside of the castle is also just as nicely done. The attention to detail that you're in the castle, all of the stuff related to Bowser, like with the bombs and the turtles and all of those things. So definitely worth checking out for that. The Toadstool Cafe is nice. The Princess Peach stuff is good and all that. So there's not a whole lot to do in the area. So it would be nice if they expanded it a little bit to have more stuff, or if that's all they're gonna do, or have some of the stuff maybe around like if they do stuff like around Halloween, to have like Luigi's Mansion and theme it around that for I forget what the Universal Studios version is, but if they do something like that, that would be nice. As far as the next area, which I hadn't seen, the Simpsons area, the Simpsons ride was okay. It's not a bad ride, but it was very much felt like a retheming of the Back to the Future ride. So if you like that ride, you'll like this ride. But it didn't really do too much new. Or if you're a Simpsons fan more than a Back to the Future fan, you'll like it more. So nothing overly impressive with that, but the theming in the area outside is very well done, from the very carnival-like feel for the Simpsons ride, the Quickie Mart, and things like that. So if you want to feel like you're in Springfield, then they did a good job for that. So I don't really have much to say there. You can get the donuts, you can go inside the Quickie Mart, and then I think there's a police station, you have Dr. Nick's office and all of that stuff. So overall for me, the theming outside was more fun than the actual ride, so it's fun to get immersed in that. And then the final major area to visit is the Hogwarts area. So here they actually did go all out. So when you go from either entrance, you do feel like you're walking into Diagon Alley, from the train to the snow-topped roofs of the different buildings and stuff like that, to the music and everything. So it's all very well done. And then it gets even more impressive as you approach the castle, which has a better effect if you're going in from the entrance on the Fast and Furious ride side. If you're going in from the Studio Tour side, you kind of see the buildings, and it's kind of impressive, but not as impressive as from the other side. And but when you get there, you do feel awe-impressed by how much effort they put into making the castle, having you feel like you're at Hogwarts and all of that stuff. So definitely worth checking out. As far as the two rides go, the roller coaster is nice. It's basically built for as many people to go on as possible, so it's not too scary. It's more of ups and downs and twists and turns and things like that. So no loops, nothing like that, no huge drops or nothing too scary. So I definitely recommend it for new roller coaster riders. If you're getting someone up and trying to get someone to go on roller coasters, and things like that. But definitely not if you're a roller coaster fan, enthusiast, or whatever. It's kind of like the best comparison I can make is to not Coast Riders, but at Nosbury Farm, there's a similar looking ride that twists you around in circles and stuff, which is a little bit more fun because of that, but it's pretty much similar to that ride near the front of Camp Snoopy. So nothing overly crazy about it, so it's a very simple and straightforward ride to go on. The better of the two rides is the other one, the Flight of the something, which even though I look at it, I keep forgetting the name of it. So when you go, I think it's Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, I guess, and I always get that mixed up with Flight of the Hippogriff, but this is the ride that's actually inside the castle. The best ride comparison I can make is think of it like California Adventures soaring over America or soaring over the world, but it's all Harry Potter themed, and they do go back and forth between stuff you see on the screen and stuff inside the castle, so it's very nicely done as far as that goes, and I actually like it better than soaring over the world or soaring across the world or whatever. Just because of that, because you're escaping from demons and you get into the middle of a Quidditch match. You go through the castle as if the demons are coming up at you with a dragon smoking or blowing fire or smoke in your face. So it's almost like they took the screen technology and visual experience of the Back to the Future ride, combined it with soaring across the world, and they came up with this. So I actually highly recommend it. I know one of the things you're not really supposed to see is how the ride works. So we were able to go on the ride a couple of times. So the first time I enjoyed the ride more, but I did get curious as to how they're making this happen as far as the chair going up and down and the various movements to immerse you in the ride. And so I did catch a quick glimpse of the arm that's going on the track and holding up the chair. So it's very much like the Assassin's Creed Animus, where it holds you into a place so it makes you feel as if you're in a particular area. So it was very much like that. So I was actually impressed with what they did there, where you're actually going on a flat surface, or maybe up and down a little bit, but you're on a flat track, and it's the car that's going up and down and taking you up and around and pointing you down at the ground. So overall, very impressive ride. It is a little bit more herky-jerky with the movements and going between the screen and the real life and the stuff inside the castle. So it may not be for everyone, especially if you have visual issues. Your motion sickness is kind of all over the place. So that's something to be aware of. And if you're a new rider or easily scared of things like that, then also something to consider. But if stuff like that doesn't really bother you, then overall it is a very, very fun ride to go on. Like I said, we went on it twice. It's that good of a ride, so I recommend going on it and making sure you make the time to go on that ride. So it is one of those things where, of all the rides that we went on, I would say go on that one and the Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Both of those are probably the two most immersive rides to go on. Even though for the Mario Kart ride, I kind of wish it was a little bit faster, or they had different speed options. So if you want to, like in the game, you can pick different speed levels. So I kind of wish they had that here, where if you have two tracks, or the more shells you throw and other drivers you hit with them, the faster the car goes, or something. Not something like roller coaster speed fast, but adjust the speed a little bit to make it actually go faster, or something along those lines. But except for that, otherwise the ride was very, very well done. So with that being said, I can now say that I've finished my gameplay for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and it was a very good gameplay. I actually enjoyed most of the gameplay for it. So I did like the original bit for Los Santos, San Fierro, Las Venturas. The countryside stuff was okay. It was kind of more of a stepping stone to train you in long distance driving and things like that. So, and kind of going from long distance driving into city driving and stuff like that. So I can appreciate that. The only two parts that I didn't particularly enjoy were the airstrip missions, where they taught you how to fly, just because it didn't feel like it was a very, not that they have to make anything easy or hard, but it was, compared to like the driving school tutorial, this was a lot harder. Even in retrospect though, the driving school stuff was kind of hard as far as the training and the minute attention to navigation that you need. And maybe it's just because it was something being played on mobile and a mobile controller that wasn't really meant for that. But the flying stuff I could have done without, but I do appreciate that they had those missions to set you up for the flying missions that they had in the next parts of the game. So even with the jetpack stuff, I thought was, even though it was kind of weird and slow to get used to, it was good that they train you for things like that, and then taking off and landing the plane and all that. So having you train to fly a helicopter, go through the rings and fly a plane, land a plane, and do different trick shots and get used to the navigation, I can appreciate the in-game tutorial for doing that. But it just wasn't my cup of tea. So for me, I kind of would have been better off without it, but I can't hate it too much because they actually did set up a tutorial to make sure that you know what to do and not just jump you right into it and then keep failing because you have to figure out while on a mission in order to pass the mission or anything like that. And then the only other part that I kind of had an issue with was the return to Los Santos part of the game at the very end. It kind of felt like it was a little bit more drawn out than it needed to be. It could have been a little bit more concise as far as defeating the gangs, helping out CJ's brother, and finding Tenpenny and taking him out and all of that stuff. It's one of those things where I think they could have had a better transition from Las Venturas, where you come back to Las Venturas because of the helping out the rapper guy, and then when you spring out CJ's brother not spring him out, but when you meet up with CJ's brother when he gets out of prison, they could have just made it like two parts where he gets out of prison and then the riots break out, so you have to take over the neighborhood, and then Tenpenny is found out and you have to take him down and combine that with CJ's sister's fiance, the Hispanic guy, like help him out with taking over the neighborhood, and then take over the whole neighborhood. And by that time, you'd be able to Tenpenny and take him down. Like kind of concise, make it a little bit more concise instead of several more missions where you repeat what you've done before. And I don't know, just kind of felt like it was drawing out something that didn't need to be drawn out. But with that being said, though, by the time you finish the game, though, you do have a good circular story. You start by returning to Los Santos, or you get to Los Santos when you get out of prison. You return to Los Santos with CJ's brother to kind of repeat what the start of the game was, and you take over the neighborhood for your gang. And everything in the middle is to set up CJ's life with the record production company, the casino, the learning how to fly, and all of that stuff. So, CJ set up, and then the garage in San Fierro. So CJ set up with his business, his family is there to help run the various aspects and all of that stuff. So overall, it's all stuff that is very well done and presented. So I can easily say I recommend the game. So whether you play the original version or the definitive edition, I don't know how some of the gameplay mechanics are later in the game for the original version, especially if you're playing on Android. But if it's any indication with the definitive edition, where they kind of fix up some of the stuff, but if you're okay with the original controls, either way, the story is really good, and it's just a matter of getting used to the controls for the various different things, what you need to do, where you need to go. And once you kind of see how the AI works in the game, you can start to work your way around it. You kind of have to get used to the driving and the different NPCs in the different areas, and once you do that, then it generally goes pretty smoothly, and then it's all a matter of how you're able to get through the different missions to get them done. So with that being said, all the videos are now up on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/PatelN01, so you can check out my whole gameplay for that there. And so with that being said, I'm going to continue my gameplay for Doom: The Dark Ages. So I think, as I mentioned, after I played the first couple of levels, it does feel like a mix between classic Doom mechanics, so getting the different door key cards, like red, yellow, blue, meets the aesthetics of Doom 3, so for some of the buildings going out on the planet's surfaces and things like that, but in the whole container and visuals and mechanics of Doom 2016. So it's one of those things where, to recap what I've played so far in the first 2 chapters, is that compared to Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages feels like they're going back to the mechanics of Doom 2016, but also taking us back to what made the original Doom 1 and Doom 2 good games to play as far as mechanics and aesthetics and stuff that you're familiar with, but with new visuals and aesthetics and gameplay mechanics and all that. So you still do have a basic form of glory kills, similar weapons, but more in a medieval theme. So all in all, it does look like it's going to be a game that I should be able to get through. So the first 2 chapters are up on the YouTube channel already, and then at the moment I'll be doing a level by level gameplay of it. So as I play each level, I'll put them up and have them ready with previews in YouTube Shorts like I usually do. So look out for that. So the show notes has the link to the playlist on YouTube, or you can just subscribe to the YouTube channel. So for the final bit of promotion for that, if you become a member and support the channel on YouTube, you do get early access to that content for the different gameplay videos and podcasts and any other stuff I put up on the YouTube channel. So whether you become a member or just subscribe to the channel, I thank you in advance for that. And then the final bit of update for this week is I recently got to thinking that I wanted to restart my Instagram account or sign up for TikTok and start posting stuff there just as an extra place to post stuff. Not necessarily like as cross-posting, but just as a place to have stuff. And so the reason I'm going with TikTok is because Instagram has this weird authorization thing where you activate an account, but even though it was tied to Facebook, they need your ID to verify stuff, and it got really weird. Even though the setup is complete and the 2FA and all that stuff, but then they want a photo ID to verify the account, so it's really strange. Where TikTok felt like a more easier setup process, so I'm gonna give it a shot just to see how it holds up. I did try it out a while ago and I thought it was a bit too overwhelming with some of the stuff, but I thought, you know what, well, I do put stuff on YouTube Shorts, so I'm gonna put some of that stuff now on TikTok as well, just to see how it goes, maybe an extra bit of promotion outside of the usual posting circle of stuff that I do. I haven't linked to the profile yet, just because it's a current test phase, just to see how, if I can keep up with posting stuff there. But the idea is just to have an extra place to post my content, mostly the YouTube short stuff and maybe random pictures and stuff like that. But if it does end up going well and I do keep posting stuff, then I'll put up a link on the website and I'll let you guys know when it's publicly available. I mean, it is publicly available. You could find HeadphonesNeil on TikTok, and I started backfilling a couple of things. I'm gonna put a couple of more, probably the Doom Dark Ages videos that I put up and all that, and then keep posting that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, ultimately, if it becomes something that I don't have time for, then I won't use it, or I won't use it as much or whatever. But in any case, it's a test that I'm running and just a play. So if you prefer that instead of YouTube Shorts, then that'll just be. And definitely let me know on the usual other social media sites. Comment on the video on YouTube and let me know that, hey, I like the TikTok stuff instead. Can you post there more or whatever, or what you want to see on that? Then let me know and I'll see what we can do. But with that being said, that's actually all there is for this particular episode. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, or anything like that, all the social media sites that are available at the moment are linked on the website at HeadphonesNeil.reviews, and the YouTube channel, as I mentioned before, youtube.com/PatelN01 for the gameplay videos, the podcast, and all of that good stuff. But that is all for this particular episode. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.